fantasy football, and one thing we're talking about here, what, receivers, right?
Exactly.
When to play them or what? When to get rid of them? Is that
It's
that
that
the
time.
trick?
I think every week you're looking at who should we be getting, who should I get rid of, and who should I be playing. And this morning we know it's week 5, of course, of the NFL season. The Cardinals return from the bye week, and it's time for fantasy players to start taking stock in some possible free agents and also start cutting your losses. So we have Jeff Curcini from FantasyFootballStarters.com with his weekly advice.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
It is, it's week 5, and in order to stay alive, you got to start managing your roster, adding players, dropping players. This is when it starts to get a little difficult. And we're going to talk about some wide receivers because that's one position that is tough. There's a lot of players, and you want to pick up the good ones. And we're going to start with Josh Morgan, wide receiver, San Francisco 49ers. Starting to really build a rapport with Sean Hill, who's the quarterback. He caught a touchdown pass last week. This is somebody that if you need a wide receiver, maybe out there on your waiver wire, or you might be able to trade and get good value for. Another player is Mike Sims-Walker of the Jacksonville Jaguars. He has really turned into Jacksonville's #1 wide receiver. He and David Garrard are building a rapport. David Garrard, the quarterback, is probably the reason that you want to go with Mike Sims-Walker and pick him up if you can.
You also have your eye on a rookie.
Yeah, Mohammad Massaquaoi of the Cleveland Browns. Now that Braylon Edwards has been traded to the New York Jets, that happened this week, big move. Looks like this guy's going to step up and be a real good player at the wide receiver position. Again, somebody who you can pick up on the waiver wire probably.
So some high expectations from him?
Yeah,
All
I think so.
And now for some of the underperformers, folks that you should probably consider maybe cutting, trading, getting rid of your losses now.
Yeah, and for different reasons, Tess. Some of them are big name like Larry Johnson, who's a running back for Kansas City. Looks like he's lost a step. This is a guy that in his prime was a stud and everybody wanted. It's probably time to move on. Even though he's got a good matchup this week, this is a guy that you probably want to move on. And then another player is Eddie Royal, who's a wide receiver for the Denver Broncos. Now, he had a great year last year, and everybody thought this was going to be a breakout year for him, but he's just not picking up the game. He's getting a lot of one-on-one coverage. He's not doing anything. And then the big shocker is Tony Romo.
Yeah, he's been getting a lot of flack for
Where's
his
Javier?
performance.
Where's Javier when I need to give him a hard time, right? But Tony Romo is not playing, and this is a guy that still has superstar name on him. But here's the time to trade him. He's blown a couple of games. He blew a game last week. He's thrown a lot of interceptions.
Really? You'd get rid of him? You don't want to be patient with him?
I think it's time to cut. While he still has some value, now's the time to look for trading him. And that's the fun of fantasy football when you start look at it like a stock market, buy low, sell high, like we always talk about, right?
So I guess Cowboy fans were wrong in thinking Jessica Simpson was causing him to lose games.
Yeah, could be. Absolutely.
All right, talking about the Cardinals now, as we always do. They're back from their bye week, of course. And you are watching Beanie Wells.
Well, you know what's interesting is Beanie Wells might be a sleeper in this matchup. A lot of people think so. Even Russ does as well. But when you look at the game, we're looking at it as almost a tie. That's what we're predicting. It's going to be real close. But when you look on the Houston side, you got to start with Matt Schaub, who's a quarterback. We predict that he's going to have a real big game, probably throw for 280 yards, maybe even 3 touchdowns. I think the Cardinals fans hope that that's because they're losing and they've got to throw to come from behind. So he's a player that we look at. And then another player on the Houston side is Andre Johnson, their beast wide receiver.
That's what he likes to throw to.
Oh, man, you bet he does. And this guy is a beast. He's like Larry Fitzgerald. We're predicting him to score a touchdown, maybe 90 yards. So on the Houston side, those are the players we want to watch. Now, on the Arizona side, we know it starts with Kurt Warner.
Sure, and he needs to deliver, too.
Yes, he does. You know, Warner's kind of had a tough first 2 or 3 games. You can see him struggling there on the screen. But we think this year he's going to this week he's going to turn it around. They're coming off a bye week. Look for Warner to get about 260 yards and 2 touchdowns, and hopefully that's in a win.
That's going to be enough.
And then the other thing, Tess, is we think the Arizona defense, the Cardinal defense, is going to wreak havoc this week on Houston. So hopefully look for the Cardinal defense. You can see them lining up there. We think they're going to have a good week, get a couple of sacks. And again, our hope is for Cardinal fans that defense plays so well. Matt Schaub and Andre Johnson, they accumulate all these points because they're coming from behind and the Cardinals win.
And 2 weeks ago, the Cardinals defense not looking so great.
I know. Got to remind everybody of that.
Maybe that rested week
They're a good unit. They'll come back. They'll bring it back. Absolutely.
All right. As always, we want to talk about, well, first of all, week 5, bye weeks to be aware of.
That's right.
Folks need to know know, who are not playing?
You bet. We've got Chicago, we've got Green Bay, we've got New Orleans, and we've got San Diego on bye week. So those you don't want to start any players. You want to pay attention to those bye weeks and make sure that you're not picking players from those teams.
Finally, we want to mention, if you're just joining us and you're saying, okay, what is this fantasyfootballstarters.com? If you haven't joined already, you guys have all the advice and all the tools to make your fantasy football team a winning one online.
Yes, we do. We have a trade analyzer, a draft analyzer. As a matter of fact, we have a free offer for News Channel 3 viewers exclusively if they want to go to our site, fantasyfootballstarters.com, and register only. Then if they email me, Jeff at fantasyfootballstarters.com, Tess, we'll upgrade them to our premium package, which gives them access to player predictions, smart alerts. They can use our trade analyzer, our lineup analyzer, the whole everything. We'll upgrade them absolutely free. Let them enjoy it.
And the secret is not telling your friends that you use the service so that they think it's all you.
That's right. That's right. You got it, Tess.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Jeff Corcini. We'll see you next Sunday.
You got it.